Pinch punch, it's the first of the month. November's here and Arsenal are going to win the league again. And just like that, it is game week 10. We're back here outside doing a lap of the Emirates to appreciate Arsenal playing away against Newcastle. I don't know what's happened to this weather, but certainly it's got a little bit darker in the UK, a little bit colder. And for once, even though I'm in flip-flops, I'm also wearing a jumper. Arsenal head up to the king of stadiums for blokes with tops off at this time of year. It's into St James's Park for Arsenal away at Newcastle. Will these hard fixtures ever end for this Arsenal team? If I have this down correctly, not only do Arsenal have to play away here at Newcastle, but our fixture after that is Chelsea away? And if that's the case, I think we now have Chelsea away, Newcastle away, Villa away, City away, and Tottenham away in our first, 11 fixtures? Unbelievable congestion. We're getting into the stage of the season where things start being actually true. So all the hyperbole about who's performing well, who's going down, who'll be top goal scorer. When you get 10 games in, it starts being an actual thing. And for this Arsenal team, we've got a pretty good points haul, but for some reason, we don't find ourselves anywhere near the top of the table. I won't lie, it was a painful experience being in here for the Liverpool game. Not for the football, I thought that was fantastic. And this is in no way a slur on Liverpool. I thought they turned up and played good football. But the way that game was reffed was it was so difficult to watch. There was an Arsenal team that were in free flow for the first half an hour, a great little Liverpool comeback and a good way of getting a goal. And then I think it all kind of changed for me on that Martinelli non-penalty decision. It was the first time where you didn't get that marry-up between VAR, the ref, the fans and the players on the pitch. I could put my house on the fact that was a penalty. Yes, I know Canate got the slightest of touches on the outside of his knee, but it wasn't really a challenge, anything other than taking Martinelli out and putting him on his back with feet in the air. But it is what it is, and you have to play to the whistle. But I felt from that moment on, that whistle wasn't very fair. It felt strange being the home team, but not having decisions go your way. And I think it's that type of attitude, I guess, we will hope to bring as the away team at St James's Park. It is a phenomenal stadium up there in Newcastle. The fans will be loud, and they'll be hoping their team can get back on track after what has been a fairly shaky start to their campaign. The promise of 2 seasons ago to be a Champions League team and to kick on, spend their riches and really develop into one of the top sides in the country has kind of stalled. And I think a perfect example of that was Dan Burns' interview earlier today, where he talked about the mentality changing at Arsenal, the fact they're now title chasing. And I challenge him to say that's the thing that hasn't changed at Newcastle. They just don't look like a team who think they should win games. As for Arsenal, it does look like it's our time to start getting this season going properly. It looks like we're a bit settled across that midfield with the addition of Mikel Merino fitting, let's be honest, straight into it. And I think with some players coming back from injury, possibly even Martin Odegaard, we might get ourselves back to something of a more sure footing. This could, of course, be the lovely afterglow of the 3-0 away win at Preston North End in the League Cup. You take the wins where you can, just ask Man United about that. But I rather fancy Arsenal to start getting down to proper football again, grinding out games week on week. I just wish these international breaks would disappear, but they won't. Heading up to St James's Park, I think Arsenal will be quite settled in their line-up. I expect to see a fit Timber. Saliba, of course, is back from suspension, and I think Gabriel will feature in the team, although news has yet to come out fully on his injury. I think at left-back, Timber has been a revelation, and it can't be underestimated how assured we look when he's in the side. He reminds me a lot of Ben White, but on the other side, the way he's able to cut into midfield, dribble inside a little bit. He's not a person made for wing football. He comes inside just like Calafiori does. The way he marshalled Mohamed Salah out of the game against Liverpool was chef's kiss. And I think if it hadn't been for the injuries against Liverpool, you probably would have seen a more positive result from the Arsenal. But like I say, Liverpool did what Liverpool did, and that's okay with me. But heading into this game against Newcastle, is it at the other end of the pitch that we're finally going to click? Let's talk about Bukayo Saka. I have long said on this channel and on X that I think Saka is going to not break a record, but join an elite team of 100 Premier League goals and 100 Premier League assists by the end of his career. Now, people might think that's not special. People score way more goals than that, but it's the assists that make it key. Only 3 players have achieved this before. Ryan Giggs, Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney. Now, all of them had very, very long careers in the Premier League. Saka could be one of the first to achieve this, whilst also having his twilight years ahead of him, I imagine. He reached the feat of being 50 Premier League goals, and he's the youngest Arsenal player to do that, outstripping the likes of Ian Wright or Thierry Henry. Actually, his assists that make him key. He's had 42 of those at the age of 23. That's a ridiculously good return. And I've got every faith that as he lines up against Dan Burn, he will have an absolute field day. Saka is turning into Mr. Dependable. He might even have the captain's armband if Odegaard isn't back fit. I think it can't be underestimated how much he adds to our attack, and those 2 games he was out, you really saw the difference in how he performed. Just imagine Saka had been playing against Bournemouth. The other fascinating thing for me is what we do up top. Gabriel Jesus scored a peach of a goal, albeit against Preston North End. Havertz also scored a goal, and I think within those 2, goals need to flow. I'm a little worried that Havertz's early season form has dwindled a bit, but all he needs is 1 goal, 2 goals, and he'll be back in the game, just like Martinelli was. But for Gabriel Jesus, if he can make that a competitive position again, it will really give us that hunger to really start putting the ball in the back of the net regularly, something we've struggled with a little bit this season. The final player I want to highlight for this week is Declan Rice. He kind of went missing at the start of the season, and I was one of many people to say, what's happened to him, why has he dropped? Is it a positional change? Is it just he couldn't sustain the levels of his first season with us? But what I've seen in the last couple of weeks is a player who's much smoother on the ball. He seems to play well with Mikel Merino. And I think if we can have Partey back in that midfield, I'd love to see what it looks like between Merino, Rice and Partey all being competitive in that centre of the pitch. When Odegaard comes back from injury, obviously only 3 of them should be starting. Which 3? So finally, as it gets ever darker here, what is my prediction for how this game goes down? Newcastle are no mugs. And in Isak, they've got a striker that I'd quite like to see at the Arsenal. I think they're going to get a goal, which is not what I normally say. But the way this defence have been playing recently, I don't think this is the game where we get back to clean sheets. This one will be about outscoring them. They used to have a tight defence. I'm not sure they do anymore. Time wasting might be a thing here. It's been there in the past, and we've been accused of it too. So who knows how this pays out. But for me, I'm going to keep it conservative. I think it's a 2-1 win for Arsenal, and I don't think I'm going to be able to relax all day. The one thing that's nice is it is the early kick-off, so I don't have to spend my whole afternoon worrying. But in reality, this is a tough fixture. Another 3 points on the road. If we can get it out the way, we can start climbing back up that table. And who knows, come Christmas, maybe we'll be back in that league title topping part of the table. One thing that Dan Burn mentioned is that our mentality has changed. He sees us as a team who are now going for the title and are able to deal with the pressures. And I wonder if the players have moved beyond the fans. We're all still very worried, but maybe we should be a bit more buoyant than we were.